Let's see if I can get the technical details right concerning that word Tala. I prefer to pronounce it Tali. And let's look at the letters first. For letters do have meanings. If we listen to the letters that are silent, mentally speaking, we hear a word in our head. Then we have the ability given to us by the God of nature, or we can say the good of nature, to vocalize, to give the word a voice to go out, whereby we share our thoughts. I believe our little long-haired chihuahuas, I call them little wolves, Arrows, Mocha, and Tuffy. They're silent now. But anyway, okay, let's look at the first letter. And the first letter is without the voice, or rather, not adding the voice afterwards, is T. And that sound is a voiceless dental teeth T. When I say dental and teeth, they work together. And let's see, the simplest way to put it is we take the tip of our tongue and touch all the teeth together. See, now my teeth are together. And the vocal cord cannot make that sound. In modern day linguistic terminology, it would be, let's see if I can get this right. It would be called the voiceless dental alveolar plosive. And to those of you who are listening, you can look that up, and it will go into more detail how we make that voiceless. Back in the year around 2003, I was reading the Torah Psalms in the Old Testament, in the Bible. There are 3 Torah Psalms. There's Psalms 1, and there's Psalm 19, and then there is Psalms 119. Interesting, is it? 119 and then 119. Glorifying the Torah, which is in modern day English is translated as the law of the Lord. And I see the Torah as that which is written in nature, written in the lofty air we breathe, written in the wavy waters that we drink, and also the water of the ocean, whereby the mighty ship, the weight is held by the water, providing the way of the tour, so that we can sail the seven seas of Waralda, or in other words, we can just simply say the seven seas of the world. And the living law of the Lord is also written in the land and all the elements, and in the fire. And all this surrounding is primitive. I'd like to reiterate in a different way: the air we breathe, the water we drink, the land that grows our food, the fire that glows, is all primitive. And also the sounds we make are primitive, because my teeth are primitive, my tongue is primitive. And we use air to make that sound, and we cannot make that sound any other way. Let's make that sound again. Now, if I can keep it going, I can keep it going by reciprocating it, by doing a simple which is another voiceless sound in the back of our tongue, making that sound. And then I just keep it going. I'm pretty sure there are those out there that can go a lot faster than I can. And so, with that primitive sound made by primitive action, when we fully understand that to make that sound, you have to have airflow. And I'm going to drastically slow it down from rather going. I'm going to show what is actually happening in slow motion. First of all, put your teeth together, you got airflow. Now you interrupt that airflow by placing the tip of your tongue to the back of all the teeth are together, and you stop the airflow, and you have this. Notice that is a complete silence. Then, when you release your tongue and there is air pressure there, then you have. So now let's do it non-stop, slow motion. Or rather, me not interrupted, talking about it. And then in an instant. So, getting back to the year 2003, in the Torah Psalms 119, which is the largest chapter in the Bible, and there are 22 aleph. In Greek, it's called alphabet. Now, I'd rather say Beth than Bet for a reason, but it doesn't matter. Either way, we know what we're talking about. The first letter of the Greek alphabet is Alpha. And the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Aleph, and the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Tau. And that is when I first heard a description, speaking of the Tau, saying that it is a letter with one of the means the mark. It also said that the Tau is voiceless. And at that time, it flew over my head, just like that. Whoop. Thinking, what does that mean? And then I began to realize that the main gift of the Torah is that which is found in nature. Now, by the way, the ancient word nature comes from the root na Torah. And there are numerous people in the world we live in now that are totally aware of the root of the word nature, not Torah. And I began to realize, well, wait a minute, there is this real Torah that is found in nature and not written in any book. We can write about nature in a book, but the book itself is not alive. It's just lifeless letters or text written on paper or whatever other material you choose to write it on, whether it be leather or better high quality paper, parchment, which is made from papyrus, and then you can saturate it with wax, and it almost waterproof, not 100%, but it can get wet and you can dry it off and it's still there. Now I'm thinking, my eyes are bluey, I can't have the luxury of reading the outlines. I wish I did. So now I just got to stop for a second. So now I began earnestly about 12 years ago, and just a little over 12 years ago. The year is 12 years ago was 2012 in the month of February. And I met this really wise man in the Rocky Mountains. And I learned from him that we look into nature to understand words that are made, obviously, of letters. And we look into nature, primitive nature, to find the function, action, physical laws, or rather say the physical Torah, the physical actions of nature. And then we correlate and we make a parallel, a metaphor, so to speak. And when we make that connection, we make that connection to the relationship with nature, and that understanding goes into our head, we call that original thought. An easy way to get started in understanding what original thought is to look at the four-cylinder engine in our Bayliner ski boat. And the engine is an inboard engine, and the block is made out of iron, and iron is primitive. And it uses copper for the wires, and copper is primitive. It uses gasoline, which is made from crude oil, and that is primitive, and so forth. And someone or a group of people, which always is a group of people working together, with original thought to put all these things in their proper order to be able to make an engine that runs. And so that ability to work with primitive nature is called original thought. So I got to thinking about that. Again, I'll refer back to 12 years ago. And so for the first time in my life, I began to look in all of nature and all the working of nature, or the natura. And I began to realize that my understanding of how the physical action of nature work and that understanding, when I apply it to words, is original thought, the original narrative. So one of the meaning and definition of the physical function of the voiceless t is defined in the very sound that I make. Only the tip of the tongue touching the back of the teeth, and all the tips of the teeth are together. Notice I use all those words that have T in it. Notice the word touch. Touch. See, I can say that without adding the voice. I can go touch, touch. See? Now you begin to understand that one of the meanings, not the only. There are many meanings, but all the meanings are supportive of one another. The T is unique. That sound is unique. And all the letters have unique meanings. And so you look for that uniqueness about the T, with your tip of the tongue is touching all the teeth, or all the teeth are together. Then you begin to realize that when you look in nature via that action of teeth, see, all my teeth cannot be moved. I can move air between the teeth. Shh. But I cannot change the order of the teeth. I cannot take the molar and put it in the front, and I cannot take the chisel teeth and put them in the back. They're fixed in their position by the divine grace of God's nature. And so I look in nature and I see words like water that has that T in it. And water cannot be separated. I can't take a knife and cut water in two. I can hit it with my hands and splash it and get that splash sound, but I cannot separate the water. It stays together. Just like the air doesn't separate my teeth. Shh, the teeth stay together. When you go to the shores on the ocean, and the air and the water are moving, and the tide is coming in, and the waves are coming in, you hear that shh, and that water stays together. In the Oralenda book, I first came across a word spelled L-O-F-T. I like to pronounce it lofty, so that I get that, understand that T in there. Me being hard of hearing, I like to emphasize it more. Lofty. Lofty. And people who sail the seven seas often come across that phrase, lofty sails. And in the Oralenda, the word loft is, there's a word that used as a substitute. And there's really no such thing as an absolute substitute. That's impossible. But to put you in the right ballpark, that word is air. And air has a different meaning than lofty. And we'll talk about that another time, because the word air also is a primitive. When I say air, see, I can keep it going. I can keep going. It's always going. And then I'm in contact with just a tiny part of that great of the air we breathe. I go, and that is a continuum, which you can use a vocal cord and manipulate the flow of air, and you can keep that going. But low T has another meaning that describes the action, the primitive action of air in a different way. And it begins with the letter L, and many times there are many words that begins with the letter L. And one of the meanings of is signifying something we need, but it is silent. Like right now, the lofty air around me, do we hear it? It's silent. Now I can use that silent air to make a sound. Shh. That's a voiceless. We can't make the shh sound with our voice. I can make this with my voice, but I can't go shh with my voice. There are numerous voiceless sounds that we make. And the voiceless sounds have particular, unique, defining definition of the function of natura, nature. Hey boys, what y'all whining about? Anyway, so there's a lot to there, but I'd like to go back to the T. And to make sure it don't fly over your head, reiterate, keep in mind, voiceless sound, vocal only. Because the teeth can't say and the vocal cord cannot say t. But we can add the voice after doing the t to say and we say ta. But if you slow it down, let's let the boys howl a little bit. Alrighty, boys. I gotta take a break, huh? they're good at making that sound world. Woo! 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 Well, my train of thought. Oh my goodness. You know, it never fails. Every time I go to talk about nature and the sounds I make with the open mouth, ah, and all that, they're over there listening. And so when I start making these sounds that keep going and songizing it, whatever terminology you want to use to describe it, make music, these little boys, they love to pitch in and help out. Well, I think it'd be better to talk about what I'm going to talk about next. In the next video will be tied to this, so that this video will not be too long. I don't want my monologue to become mono boring. Okay, so I'll stop this recording and listen to it, and then I would like to think about what I'll say next in describing the original narrative, the original thought of the word Tala, or I like to say in it uses also Tali, and I would like to give it a little, give it a song, a singing, just using that word T-A-L-E, and show that the touching of the tongue and the teeth is just a moment in time, a moment in the rise and fall of the sea. We call the tide, or the high tide and the low tide. The tide, the measurement of the rise and fall. Notice that word begins with a T for a reason, because there's a moment. There's a moment. That's not, it's a stop and go thing. The best I can do keeping it going is, see? But with ah, there's no interruption. Ah, and then the reason I like to say tali or tala, you can say both, but you can keep it going too. Ah is the part you can keep going, and then the vowel after the L, you can keep it going. You can go tala, or you can go tali, and there's a different usage of both sounds. And when we say li, that is the main root of the word lur, also found in the Orlando. And you can have an N to the end of it. Learn, we learn something, and that is silent. And so, before I close, I just briefly mentioned that L is the manipulation of the tongue moving. You touch all your teeth with the tip of your tongue, but you can also touch all your teeth by the rolling of your tongue. And so if I say ah, and then I start in the back and touch the back of my tongue to the left and right, file and rank array of the teeth, and then roll my tongue until the tip of my tongue touches the back of the front teeth, I get the sound all, and I'm going to slow it down. La. So the roll is in contact, and your tongue is touching all the teeth, but not with the voiceless, but with the voice, and you hear the manipulating of the voice, because eyes open, and then your tongue rolls. Notice roll has L in it, like a ball, and you curl your tongue up. Now, if you do it silently, it comes out like this. I'm gonna blow some air. Now, activate the vocal cord. All, and I'm reiterating. Just as you have all your teeth together and you make the T sound, your tongue rolling is touching all your teeth on both left and right at the top. All. And then, see, I'm moving my fingers now. That's silent. Now I'm going to move my finger. Now I'm going to move my tongue like I'm doing my finger. Allah. 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 And then you notice the vowel after the L. It's a leaving sound because the tongue leaves your palate. La. La. Do it silently. Now, if you do it really hard, you'll hear a bump sound if you do it real hard. Silent at the top, but then where the tongue destination hit, you'll hear that. Now add the sentence, add a sound, la 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 la. Then if you want to emulate the bouncing of your tongue off the bottom of your mouth, you just go ba ba. La ba la blah la blah ba ba la ba la ba la ba ba la the ball. And so that is one of the meanings of L is to that which is all. See, that word defines itself. You're using primitive air in your primitive mouth to say all. Then the original thought said, okay, I associate that with all my surrounding. And your teeth can be imagined as being people. We want to speak to all the people. And then think of la, it's a silent learning of people. La, something goes forward. And so a few words that have L in it that are silent, that goes out, is light, lamp, and over London there's the word logha, is the glow of the light in the distance. Logha, see? We have words like lamp. A lamp is silent, but it makes it so that we can see in the room. A letter on paper is silent, see? It does not make a sound, but yet we read the letter and we can hear the word in our head, in our mind. My daughter is making a card game with many words that begins with L that follows the primitive action of being silent. And wish I had the word list with me on my Audible audio outline, then I could just spit a few words out. But we'll do that next time. So anyway, as I have already said, I wanted to close this video. So I think now is a good time to close it. But let me songanize the word Tala, or Tali. Let's learn all that's good in the Natura world around us. Let's tally, let's tally it all up and tell all the story. Let's tally it up. Let's tally all up and tally learn all that is good around us, given to us by world. All done.